All right. Uh, it is August 14th, 2 p.m., Friday. Um, it's 97 degrees outside in Georgetown, South Carolina. It is a very hot day. I woke up early, way too early, and I am absolutely angry, tired, and miserable. That being said, I am taking this time to make a company announcement for everybody. Strategos started off as a bit of a Fossil rewrite. If you're unfamiliar with Fossil, it was made by Richard Hipp, the same dude that made SQLite. It runs airplanes and so much more. Everyone pretty much knows SQLite, so I shouldn't have to explain myself. Now, keeping things on pace, I actually wrote down the whiteboard ahead of time this time. Today, I am announcing that by the end of this month, Flightdeck will be officially released. What it is pretty much, I'm not going to sit here and call it a GitHub competitor because I play a different operational model. It is not hosted by Blackfall, it's actually hosted by you. Um, it's something that you will own, something that will help you tame you and your team of LLMs, as well as being completely optional on the AI front, while still allowing you to use the application. It is something that is easily a flip of a switch, thanks to my operator model. Ugh. Now, what comes with Flightdeck and why is this important? One of the biggest issues that I have in Blackfall is that I have 100, literally, literally 100 different projects. They keep running into each other. I'm entirely Rust and Runes first. Runes being my own engine. Um, and so one of the issues I have is that, of course, all of my projects have a bit of a self-referential dependency chain that is a bit cyclical at times. So I resolved that early on, but what I've been left with is, of course, the issue with that if I change one thing, then suddenly everything else starts breaking. And that is terrible. So going over everything, what's included with Flightdeck is, of course, source code management and version control. That's pretty much the standard versioning, tagging, tracking, issues and such like that. Um, the usual JIT stuff. I'm sorry. It'll also come with its own cargo registry. That's very important. I used Kellner for quite a while because obviously you don't want to push directly to the Rust, the actual cargo registry. Uh, Learned my lesson there. A lot of people actually, unfortunately, have been depending on things that were prototypes, so that was a failure on my part. I won't remove them outright. I don't think I have, at least. But one of the best operational things that I've found is hosting a private registry, then pushing publicly when ready. Secondarily, MCP is kind of like a very iffy thing. People agree with it, some people don't. But personally, I believe that in the way that software and technology in general is going in the world, MCP is one of those valuable things where it's not just a basic API where there's a lot that you can navigate. Personally, it uses my capability system, which I'll go into when I actually detail Nodaralis, which is the next point. Nodaralis is something special and dear that runs so many projects. And what it is it's my modular engine. It can run desktop, server, daemons, mobile, pretty much wherever you want to put it, even in an embedded environment. Nodaralis is the engine that you're looking at. And it's literally inspired by Tandem Nonstop's old mainframe model back from the 60s era of computing, which is basically it's unkillable. Now, that's not literally, and nothing's unkillable, but the entire point is that what runs underneath Nodaralis, and therefore your Flightdeck, is that it's if it dies or crashes, there's an Aegis system that will resurrect it immediately, and it's been in use for quite a while. So if the application somehow manages to crash, Aegis will immediately resurrect it, um, and roll it back to a state before the crash, and then spin up a secondary system to go ahead and run reports on why the crash happened, and then bring that report to you in isolation using a specialized failover system that I'm not going to get into detail. Now, Lighthouse, that's another one. Here at Blackfall, we do a lot of things from the ground up, but I am pivoting from that model. The Lighthouse system, that's Comdalia, MDNS, DHT, all these different things. It's a conglomerate of network protocols rewritten from the ground up to get off the web. HTTP, stuff like that. That whole stack is absolutely absurdly broken, and it is one of the main sources of all the vulnerabilities that you see online with the web today. So, Notaralis, every Notaralis application runs a Lighthouse router, custom built at Blackfall. It is a very heavy system, but it ends up being relatively compact in the end. The point of the Lighthouse, and that is Notaralis and the Lighthouse are two very large systems that will be detailed in another video. But the point is, the Lighthouse is unkillable as well. That's the entire. The Lighthouse runs on Notaralis. Notaralis runs on Aegis. Aegis is our Phoenix protocol, which means literally, unless you tell Aegis to permanently kill the program, it is unkillable. Now, next up is the repository flight computer. This is code, insights, graphs, dependency chains, blast radius, calculations on what will it take to make modifications to the system so that you can get the best out of your planning and project management, and timeline estimations. One of the worst things about Claude and all other LLMs is the fact that they're overly reliant on grepping, searching, and doing really primitive things that cost you a lot of tokens when the whole thing can just be cached as an index and continuously maintained. The flight computer is a very beautiful thing that, say you have something called like a const m max, and you want to know where all of the relevances is. If you have Claude go out and try to cover that, what you'll end up is he might miss a lot, or even worse, those sub agents will miss a lot. So it's better just to have one source of truth about the actual active state of a repository. It is entirely Rust based right now, and I do mean that we only support Rust because I'm not going to stretch myself thin trying to support web, which is already the wrong model for a lot of different things right now. And C, and it's just too much right now. So I'm going to be honest, it is 100% Rust focused today. Now, discussions, chats, projects, tickets, actions. Actions. Those four are pretty much a bit of a modern interpretation, right? You have discussions with teams, but then you genuinely have discussions with your LLMs. When you're doing planning, you're doing your project management, you're trying to maybe have a quick chat here or there to kind of rule out, well, should we do this or should we do that? You're scattered and fragmented across, for me at least, Grok, ChatGPT, Claude. My head, I'm one dude, but I do a lot of work bouncing between my day job and my company. So in order to keep all of that, that's what Flightdeck is for. Keep everything, it doesn't matter who you have, but you'll always have your data at the end of the day. And I think that's more important than any real offering. That way you can have your own LLM. You can have a Claude subscription, which we do have first class Claude SDK support. And the important part about that is that you can have Claude installed on a Flightdeck remotely on a server. For me, it's a DigitalOcean droplet. And over the Lighthouse fabric, that Claude can be talked to from your phone through our mobile app to the server, and then remotely controlling and accessing over on your main computer. For me, I have a whole lab in here. So I have that machine, that machine, that machine, and that machine, and that machine, which are like 3 different operating systems, or really 4 if you count iPad OS. So being able to just simply walk between devices and have your data with you at all times is very, very important. And that's how we'll keep track of all of that. Actions, the reason I brought that up. We have a bit of a different CI model, right? So I have a Mac system, a Linux system, a Windows system, and a mobile system. So what happens with our system is not like GitHub CI or normal CI where you just send it off to the cloud and have it built for you. Part of our operational model is that you own the software. You buy it once, you own it forever. You pay for new updates, which should be exceptionally rare under my model. So what you end up getting out of that is that your CI is a distributed compute. The network itself, Flightdeck, will figure out which operating system exists for which and use what available compute it can. If you're compiling for Windows, it'll find a Windows device on your fabric of nodes and use that to build a Windows software. Same thing with Mac OS and Xcode. And of course Linux. I shouldn't have to explain these things, but here we are. Watcher and operator. Operator is the most important thing there is. This little thing is where you get to plug in your LLM. That's the Claude SDK, whatever custom LLM you have, etc. At a flip of a switch, you can completely remove the operator and gut all of the AI stuff from your system because everything revolves back to Notaralis's capability model. That means you're not calling arbitrary code. The system directly says exactly what's available for who, etc. So if I have administrative privileges on my network, I can tell Claude to do a specific task, like a destructive action, like, say, deleting a project that he can't do on his own. He can't even see the capability is there until I have requested it, in which that capability becomes exposed to him. And it's not arbitrary. It's native to the Lighthouse and Notaralis both as a consent-driven model. So any application built on Notaralis comes with all of that out of the box, MCP, everything. That's why I will be releasing that as a later system at some point. I'm not sure yet. Watcher is what keeps track. One of the biggest, most important things about really for me is like I keep continuously running out of disk space, and part of that problem is, of course, target folders, work trees, all these things, all these they run up space. They do, just continuously. It's terrible. You have to keep cleaning the drive because Notaralis, for example, has gotten as big as 120 gigabytes in its target directory. It's absolutely absurd that it compiles down to like a 300 megabyte, if that. And I don't remember. It's been months since I've checked those metrics, but Watcher will tell you when a tracked project is ready for cleanup. Now, you can have automated policies put in place to where Claude can see that and automatically do it, or more importantly, without AI, it's still capable of firing off, but it's not going to be as accurate. You can really only get so much. Like, it'll see like this target directory is ready for removal, and it can automatically do that. Some things with higher privileges will ask you over the network through your phone. It will ping you and ask you if you want to approve a destructive action long before you ever even turn on the AI stuff and it actually have the knowledge about, well, maybe we should, the AI is simply putting two and two together across the entire contextual field of all your projects. So if you need something built, an LLM is going to be able to step in and be like, well, let's not. But without that, of course, the system's just going to ask you in general. So the LLM is sort of a sidestep a little bit, but it's not meant to be the default mode. You should 100% still be expected to know what is going on at all times. That's why I built the system, because for me, without Flightdeck, I have no comprehension beyond maybe 12 projects out of 100 mentally that I can keep up with, and that's a neurological boundary. And a lot of people are going to be like, well, blah blah blah. The brain literally cannot. I can back that up with neuroscience. If you're a one-man team, trust me, you're going to love this system. Cartridge is our custom container format. It comes with database support, which is our ground-up rewrite of SQLite with MVCC, and pretty much looking at all the major databases out there, finding the common patterns and consolidating them. So Databank will be shipping later on. I'll go, again, something else to cover. But basically, you'll be shipping with your own S3 for artifact storage remotely so that you never lose anything locally. The entire premise of Blackfall systems is that at any point in time, you should be able to completely torch a system and walk to another device and pick right back up where you left off. That's the entire point. The final decision that I recently made is the work tree support. Everything comes back down to a cartridge. Every project is stored in a cartridge as its entire history, assets, resources, whatever needs to be tracked is put in the cartridge itself in a global store of cartridge files. So the important part is every bit of work you do is hydrated state in a ephemeral folder. So if you want to work with the system, you have to use Notaralis's native form system. So an LLM, this is very important. No LLM can arbitrarily edit state within the system ever. That is very important. Everything works off a form request system. If an LLM wants to work with the system, it must fill out a request form, which then proceeds to be approved by the system, which then generates a work tree ephemerally, hydrates it, gives you what you need, allows you to work within it, and then once you're done and committed and ready to clean up, the whole folder disappears, everything gets merged back into the container as a versioned tagged state, uh, so that you never have like I do sometimes, 10 work trees sitting around also consuming disk space. So what we're pushing at Blackfall is moving towards changing how we think about A, computing, and B, software development. And there's a lot more that comes with it. I mean, I specialize in archival technology, so I figured I would just kind of take my archival lab and walk on over to the software manufacturing lab and put something together, which is Flightdeck. Formerly, it was Strategos, if I've ever mentioned that before, but I did a bit of a rebrand earlier this week. But I think that covers everything. As tired as I am, I'm excited to show you how everything works because it has been running for months. The only thing that's missing is a UI. It's been entirely API based up until now, so I'm trying to make it a lot more approachable for you. So yeah, it is. It's August, but it's hot like it's June. Nearly 100 degrees. You know, that's crazy. 70. It's literally 77 degrees in my room, and I don't know, man. I'm fighting my asthma right now because I want to cough so bad because I'm sweating my ass off. But anyway, Flight Deck is coming soon, later this month, and I'll try to put together a lot more than a whiteboard next time I have an announcement. If you're keeping up with the Mario the Mario system or the mouse lab or the lab the lab mouse system. Those are currently on pause right now, unfortunately, while I finish up Flight Deck because it has gotten to a point where I literally cannot work on the brain because it is so massive that it is just unnavigable for Claude or any LLM right now. And I have considered harnesses, but I don't like the concept of a harness, right? So the whole point is that intelligence should be a pluggable system into a context rich system, right? So if you have a harness like Prime Agent or Hermes or whatever, then you have an application dedicated to storing something completely disconnected from your actual system. So at Blackfall, what we do is we have this one operator module that plugs into every Notaralis system that we build. And it's the user's choice whether or not they want to activate that or not. But it is entirely self contained in what it remembers about state while also keeping the actual project state completely separate but additive to its own contextual state. That's a mouthful. Welcome to Blackfall. Shit gets a little crazy. Have a good day.